everybody, how's it going? I truly wish I had a French accent that I could pull off right now, but I don't. So, or a hat, that would be fun too. So today I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the overall French and some of the games that whenever I think about, I just go, that was so good. I wish I could play it again and get the same game and result. So I'm gonna be showing you some of those. However, this is still related to the opening series that we've been doing. I have lost count of how many episodes of it has been. But we've talked about the Negi's book for that came out 2014/15, and the first of the series that he did, and it's like white against French, Caro-Kann, and Philidor. So we've covered the Philidor parts, we've covered most of the Winawer, so I'm going to show you a little bit more about Winawer and Steinitz and try to do the transition to Steinitz. So from next week we can just talk about this. And yeah, I think it'll be fun if you are someone who plays this as white, and even if you're not someone who plays this specific move order as white and you play some of the other main lines or side lines, it's still okay because you get a better understanding of the pawn structure, of the main ideas of how the center will be, where the pieces belong, and so I think it'll be cool if you watch this regardless of the your love for the thumbnail. I see a lot of that going on in the chat. Masterpiece, right?
Hey, as long as you're okay with it.
Thank you. Why not? Let's go for a fun one. Why not? But yeah, so I'm gonna be talking a little about the Winawer first, because I've already shown you countless of this Winawer games and lines, but just to kind of make it a little bit prettier, we have talked about c5 for the most part, so I left that out. But let's talk about 97 because it's still, it can still transpose, right? So quick, I guess, pop quiz. What should white do here? What do you think I would do, or what do you think Negi would say you should do? Oh, Patrick, that's lovely. Yeah, you get this a lot as white with d4 too. Yeah. Yeah, Troy boy, I feel that too. I tried playing Caro-Kann and French here and there as black, and it was just not for me. And I mean that's totally fine because no one can be comfortable in every single opening. So, f4 is something that I have done, not in this position, but I am a big fan of f4, f5, push, push, push. So let's talk about it logically. Let's say you know nothing of this opening. The pawn structure indicates that we have a very interesting kingside attack coming up, right? It also indicates that if they take, well, perfect, right? Because I have these double pawns. Now, on the other hand, I have two bishops, but a relatively closed center, right? So it also means that I need to be very careful how I navigate these bishops. Again, for the most part, we're going to be doing stuff in the king side. And because of our pawn structure, there is no knight here. So if I had a bishop, queen, this would be a new weakness that I could explore. Some of the things that black can do, well, one of it is the c5 that they have already done. The other part is they kind of have to decide when to try and do stuff with f6 and f5. The knight on f5 could be problematic sometimes. The other parts are, because there is no dark square bishop for black, it does mean that black has weakness in their dark squares. So this could be a new target for us to explore. And on another hand, there's this bishop, right? Not really pretty, but because of the pawn structure, obviously. But a lot of the times, the black does tend to try and exchange it off, so that's something that you should be careful about. Or at least weigh it in. Alright, so I've talked the logistics of it. So if you already know the opening, great. If you don't, by everything that I've talked about, you should have a few candidate moves, right? All right. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Chat is also talking about, yeah, queen h4 is good too. There's so many good moves here, but queen g4 is what that kind of makes the most sense to me, because you're going after this obvious weakness. And here they can play queen c7, castle, all those things that we've talked about in the last hours of chess and psychology. But let's talk quickly about, for example, queen c7. Now with queen c7, again, we kind of went a lot deeper in bishop d3, because there is this take and this very, very cool line that you have to know so much about. There's also f4, there's h4, you have to bring your queen back to d3 at some point. It's a whole thing. But for me, I didn't want to just walk into something that my opponent wanted to. Black knows well, regardless of the opponent, because anybody who plays queen c7, they definitely know these to the end, and I just didn't want to walk into that. So when I saw the suggestion from Negi that he suggested, bishop d3, I was like, yeah, why not? And the idea is really pretty, because you're gonna eat this eventually, but you're delaying it. So first, black gets to eat these two pawns, right? And you get your pieces out a little bit better than you would have on the main line. I guess the classical line, I should call it. But in this case, when you do get g7, you have to be careful, because there is a very important move order that you should know. You should play this first, with the idea it would be awesome if the queens get exchanged. Now you might ask, well, how? This queen is in the center, my queen is kind of stuck up there. And the answer is, you are going to try to go bishop f4, and they got to move the queen, probably go back here, then you go bishop g5, again poking the queen. Now think about it, your bishop is also doing a little skewer to this knight, so if the queen goes back to e5, you can eat that knight, and this knight is the protector of the rook, so the rook falls. So just kind of making that storyline in your head of what's happening should be very, very helpful. Now I've had many opponents play so many different things with me. For the most part, rook h8 is something that I experienced a lot, and if I can get this queen exchanged, I'm very, very happy. And it's very deep, it's still ongoing, but I have a nice advantage. I have two bishops, this pawn will definitely fall soon. I have a nice pass pawn, which is quite supported with my rook and these two bishops. So again, it's not a clear win yet, but it's very comfortable. You have a very clear plan, as opposed to opponent still needs to develop, the rook is under attack, boof. A lot of things are happening. So that would be like the dream way of getting it exchanged, right? Now let's say, for example, they go for something more chill. Actually, I don't think that does much, because I can still do this. In worst case, they have to go back and exchange it, so I don't think that's a whole ordeal. Okay, let's talk about, for example, take. Now, what do you think we should do here is white?
Seen this, isn't it? Like
Probably is. I mean, rook h3 was, I think that was one of the game, once I did it incorrectly, so I had to do that, but like there was once I did it like this to try to trap the rook, but that's not good. But actually rook h3, yeah, you're right.
Isn't that checkmate? Yeah.
It feels like it, yeah. Are you secretly trying to win as black? The rook is quite misplaced here, right? And it's not really doing anything. So if we were to be able to attack it at some point, it wouldn't stand for long. Now the question is, how do we prevent it from going back? Or back? Yeah, makes sense, right? And you are simply trapping the rook, because it's still quite a few moves before you can actually eat it. But the idea is there. This rook doesn't really have that much activity. Even if it tries to run away this way. Whoa, ouch, sorry. No, how did I even do that? What did I do? Anyways, even if it tries to run away that way, we are always capable of trying to continue trapping it with f4 and keep poking it with a queen h5. The back rank is weak. There's so many problems that black has, and they're like the worst case scenario for white. You're just gonna like long cast and run away that way, which is still pretty scary because there is a ginormous pawn here. But black is not fast enough in attacking your king, so I'm quite happy with this. Now, all right, I'm gonna take a huge jump back because we have already covered queen c7 for a lot of time. I'm gonna talk briefly about castle. So I've had less experience with castle compared to queen c7, but I still think it's you still must know it. It's a huge line and it happens way more than I'm happy about. We've talked about this extensively as well, and for example, this was one of the games. This line we have definitely talked about. I remember showing you in some of the previous hours that we've had Winawer on. But for example, right now, it's really important to know your move order. So white to move, what do you think we should do? Does f5 is something that I had kind of warned you about? That's something that black does want to try and do here and there. Now, how do you think white can figure out if this f5 was the right time or not? Queen h4 is very possible, but why h4? Why not h5?
I forgot the rook was protected. I don't know.
Well, that's fair. I feel queen h5 is a little bit stronger because queen h4 is okay too, but the thing with queen h5 is at some points you might want to move the knight and just bring the queen back. So that just gives you the option, but queen h4, your queen is stuck permanently in the king side. And the other thing to keep in mind is because you don't have that e pawn anymore, black does want to try and play e5 and poke your queen. So you got to move it. This was a game that I played in US Championships 4 years ago. Oh my god. And I felt like my position was fine, but I couldn't convert it. Now let's talk about the why of it. Let me go back for a second. How do I get rid of these arrows? I do not like arrows. Yep, bye-bye arrow. Bye-bye evaluation gauge. Yeah, let's go back. Nice. Yeah. So this was something I wanted to kind of talk about because move order is so important. Now, I'm still doing everything right. Opponent is still doing everything right. And you also have to be careful because a lot of the times this bishop g5 looks tempting, but e5, and it's not going to be as pleasant as you might want it to be because e4s. But queen h5 I thought was fine. I didn't really have any uncomfortable ideas with queen h5. But it just started to fall. Everything started to kind of just fall down so quickly. So let me go back. What do you think I should have done back here? Do you think my move order was wrong? Do you think opponent's move order was wrong and then I just messed something up? What do you think went wrong? Do you want me to just leave it here? Or are you just happy with this position? If you're happy with this position, then there's nothing wrong with us. So let's first get to, do we actually like this position right now? Then we can go back to, did we do the best moves? Oh, I see first is here. Alright, I'll give it maybe 30 more seconds.
What happens if you play like G4 and King H1 and Rook G1 and try and sort of clear up from the king side?
Well, I guess the main, so for you, are you happy with this position?
Not as is, but that's maybe the one thing. Like you can get the king side rook involved, maybe, I don't know. It's all kind of a cramped situation.
If this pawn for me was like on e5 and I had this bishop all boxed in, I would be happy with that. But right now I'm a little too scared. If I start doing stuff like that, then anytime e5 happens, my king will be up in the air. So I'm a little uncomfortable with that. Now I'm gonna actually do something that might be helpful. I will be I believe this link is shared with you in the previous YouTube videos that we did for this specific series. I will have it shared for today as well. Also, sorry, there's a bunch of cool but random puzzles here. But the first few chapters are our openings. Now I'm gonna click on it. Don't be alarmed, we're not losing this game. I'm gonna actually show you the theory because, no, not queen c7, castle, yes, because, and again, let me do this first. Yeah, the answer was, I messed up. In the game that we were talking about, you guys are right. White's position was uncomfortable because in the game that I played in 2018, I messed up the move order. I played knight f3 first. Now, queen h5 makes a little bit more sense because now if you play f5, now things are a little bit different because, well, checkmate, right? Maybe not checkmate, but you know, weak king, bunch of pawns, yay. But for me, like now, opponent has to play knight g6, then knight f3. So let's go back to the game that I had. So yeah, I messed up the move order. So that's why it's very, very important for you guys to know your move order. And don't trust on engine, because the first engine move is knight f3. And I mention that because I have a few other few students who are in the process of organizing their openings, and I was trying to teach them how to have that healthy balance between engine moves and their own brain moves and master games. And they would be like, well, but that's the engine move. And I would always tell them, have at least the first 3 engine moves and then compare them to the master games and then go a little bit deeper and then decide which one you want, because just because it's the engine move, it doesn't mean it's good. I did the engine move, right? Knight f3 is the first move that Lichess is talking about. Again, Lichess engine is not super, but still, that the whole point is to not just remember the engine, Troy boy. The whole point is to do what the position requires. Knight f3 makes sense and it's technically the best move of the engine, depending on what engine I guess you work with. But queen h5 is the move that you should do, because it stops all the f5s, it forces opponent to play knight g6, then you go knight f3 defending this, and you have knight g5 ideas. And for that, for the rest of, if you are interested in getting deeper in this specific opening, please go ahead, click on the study that will be here, and check out the game. And that's actually, I think that one is actually the first game. Yeah, this specific opening is the first game. So I can also mess my openings up. Thank you. And yeah, no, I'm gonna break this probably.
Let's put it on the side.
The whole point was kind of just like to don't trust the engine and know your openings despite of the engine. Despite? In spite? Anyways. Okay, so let me show you another one. Your engine runs on gas. Man, I wish. Okay, we're gonna move on from Castle, but I did want to talk about this beautiful, weird c takes d4. Now, this is one of those games that I also played with one of the, well, yeah, I played this against Abrahamyan in 2018 US Championship. I actually always played the white against her. Good for me. But see, like, she changed the move order a little bit. I kind of expected queen c7 first, but she went for take first. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like it kind of threw me off my game, because now I don't have, I mean, I'm not fast enough to do these. Queen c3 is coming up. So after the game I was thinking, and I was like, well, I guess I could have technically played this bishop d3, I'm still attacking over here. If there is any attack on this, then I can just go my knight e2 and it transposes. So why didn't I play that? Anyways, during the game, she tried to kind of trip me off, and she succeeded. So, anywho, she did that, and I got into a little bit of an uncharted territory. Now, here, there are a bunch of f4s, there's a bunch of h4s, there's a bunch of queen back. I've seen it all, I've played it all. H4 is not the best, in my experience. It's very playable, but then again, if you rely on engines, you're gonna be looking and like, well, f4 says 0.3, h4 says 0.2, but again, you shouldn't just rely on what engine says, because the engine, it doesn't have that deep of an understanding of the middle game as you could actually get for yourself if you start watching some of the master games, ideally if it has comments in them. Nowadays, I think you can also learn so much of your openings through YouTube. So, well, we're here right now. Yeah, so I went for h4, and then she took, and take was not the best one, and I think a part of me played h4 to also trip her off, because I could recall that f4 is the best one, but I couldn't remember my openings because this is not the main thing I play, and I knew she would know it more than I do because that's the only thing she plays. So I went for h4, and then she kind of, I think she messed up here because she should have taken this first, but she went for take. And then I kind of started to get into my ideas, because remember the opening that I was talking about with the bishop on d3 is pretty much the same position, just with the bishop on d3. So I kind of knew that this position is fine because I have nice, I have good two bishops, I have better development, I have this very amazing pawn that if I can just start pushing will be great. But I also didn't play it as accurately. So far so good, but I didn't play it as best as I should have. And she slipped away, and the game ended in a draw within the next, honestly, actually 10 moves. Man, I thought it would have been better. Alright, I'm gonna do another huge jump back. Are you guys ready? Boom.
Wait, you got to this position in the game, right?
Yeah.
What happens?
Oh,
So it has you at +3.
yeah, so that's kind of the point. Again, engine is not, it doesn't make sense when it says +3, but it's not really winning. I have advantage, but I still need to be able to find the exact right move order, which I didn't. For example, here it says you should go bishop e2 and try to pile up on g4, which was my idea, but I was hoping to not to let her go f5 or e5. So I tried to, you know, kick the rook away a little. And I thought that this is favorable for me because if the king is on f7 and I get this, it's more comfortable. But then if I go bishop d3, now, you know, she can't play f5, but she has e5. So if I go over here, it's still good, but now the problem is she has center. I don't have that much, actually I have no central pawns. I could have control over center, you know, but that's not it. So here I played f4 to try and stop e5. She just developed. I'm doing what engine also is recommending. It's giving me what, plus 2.5. And again, I'm doing everything I should be. But for example, here is saying play bishop e2, just the engine. And so yeah, my whole point is kind of like, it looks good, but it's not, it doesn't feel plus 2. Plus 2, it's usually much more clear than that, if you want to feel comfortable in it. Like here right now, engine is saying go g5, who cares, you know. If take, actually we take, so that's, we can care about that. But if take, then what? Take over here, take that, take that. I'm a little scared of this, honestly. Are we going g6? Ooh, I guess not just yet, because then they can block us here. Maybe this check first. I'm not saying that I didn't have, this position doesn't have advantage, but I am saying that it, like when it shows plus 3, plus 4, it's a very arbitrary number, and it really, really depends on, well, how much time you give it. And opponent does have counterplay here in the center. There are so many ways that she could take control over the center, so it kind of takes away my advantage, or it doesn't take away the advantage, it takes away how easy the game should be when it says plus 3. Does that make sense? Cool. Alright, I'm gonna do a big jump because there's a whole different line I want to show you. Okay, oh yeah, so there was this this take as well, and I don't understand it. Somebody played it with me and then they just refused to play c5 or b6, and they went for queen d7, so I was just like, okay, I'm assuming you want to do this. But on that note, let me go back here, sorry, yeah, queen d7. That's something that Zatonskih played against me in US Championship 2020, so not the last one, the one before that. And it was kind of weird because queen d7, like I had some preparation, but I didn't really feel that comfortable in it because I didn't truly understand what was the reason behind it. To be honest, I still don't. So if you do, please tell me. I just kind of went for a3, take, and I thought she has a clear idea, and I wasn't sure if or how to stop it, so I just went for what I knew. This is a weak pawn, let's go poke it. Alright, f5. I'm gonna take a second and kind of ask your opinion. What do you think we should, well, I should do here as white? This is indeed one of my most favorite games. There are two other games in this today that I want to show you, so I'm really hoping we'll get to it. Also, what's going on in the chat? Who is a heavyweight champion?
There was a guy who was using the name of a former heavyweight champion to be a creeper. And
Oh.
so we're all joking about how he's no longer in the chat.
Ah,
Yes.
the creepers.
YouTube stuff.
I don't know why I'm imagining a crepe right now. I'm not hungry. I had so much waffle today. Oh. I found this really nice place somewhere downtown, and it was really good. was like smoothie something, but anyways. Thank you, comedy and entertainment. All right, what do we feel? Are we taking that? Are we moving the queen? That's kind of your two choices, so. Yeah, I agree. These f5s are a little weird to understand from both sides. Black's idea is your queen is poking me. I need to kick your queen away. If you en passant it, amazing. I'll take with the knight. I'll start figuring out how to play e5, and I'll make you regret ever having touched this e-pawn. So I guess that takes away the en passant idea. So what else you got? Yeah, so giving this check on h5 is interesting. The problem that I encountered was this queen came here, and then the queen gets to go to f7, and then my queen has to move again, and then this queen on f7 is actually pretty good, right? This queen stays here, and after I move my queen, this queen is just a protector of their king side. I didn't want that, so I kind of wanted to make sure this queen stays a little bit more pointless. So I just kind of went queen g3. My idea was, okay, I'm still gonna poke this, so no knight e7 for you just yet. She went bishop a6, kind of gotta take it. She took back. I went knight e2. I'm not sure if I wanted to castle just yet, but I was preparing for it. I think I was trying to decide if I want to go like bishop g5, but if I play bishop g5, I give you knight e7 because I've cut my queen and I can't attack g7 anymore, right? The other part of it was if knight e2, if I castle too early, you might start getting creative with that side. Probably not just yet, but I'm assuming there will be a queen f7 at some point. The third part of it was maybe I could keep the king here for just a bit longer and maybe stabilize my knight on f4 and try to kind of bring more uncomfortable ideas to your g7. So, see, Troy Boy, I didn't want to make a draw early on. First of all, she was high rated, so she would have probably said no. Second of all, I really wanted to do good because it was the US Championship. And third of all, there was a lot of money on the line. So, med school tuitions, man. All right. No, I'm not opposed to draws, and I mean, I think draws are fun. I have had so many draws that I wasn't just feeling like that would be my position to play, and I offer a draw, and sometimes they accept. Actually, the funniest draw offer I ever made was I was playing so many tournaments in 2016. Like within the first 3 months, I had more than 50 rated games, classic rated games, and I was so tired. And I had scored my first 2 IM norms, and then I was playing in Austria League, and I was so close to crossing 2400, which means your K changes, right? But at the same time, if you cross 2400 live, it counts towards your title in the future. But if you cross 2400, but you lose a game, middle of the tournament you cross 2400, but then you lose a game and your rating doesn't cross 2400 in the next rating list, then your K doesn't change. So I wouldn't be K10. I would still stay K20. So I really wanted to change the K because I wanted to, actually I don't know why I cared that much, but I wanted to cross 2400 because I wanted to be 2400. And I was playing 2 games in Austria Bundesliga. I won the first one, and then I crossed 2400 live. And then I was playing a second one, and I was calculating, okay, if I win it, great. If I draw it, still I stay above 2400. If I lose it, I get like 2399. And then I was like, oh. And my opponent was lower rated, but I had a really worse position, like +2. And I had some counterplay, and then I was like, you know what? every time I was lower rated and the higher rated opponent has a worse position, they offer me a draw. I either like think 30 minutes and get so low on time that I mess up later, or I accept the draw. So I was like, you know what, this time I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be the person who abuses their rating, and I did that. So I just looked at her into eyes and I offered a draw in a really worse position. She started thinking, and after half hour she just accepted it, and I was like, hey. So I crossed 2400. But that game, if it continued, I would have probably lost, or I would have been very uncomfortable for the remainder of the game. So my point being, draw offers are welcome, but it should be well thought out. You shouldn't just go around and be like draw, draw, draw. That's not gonna fly well. Okay. What is your... There is a K factor of 42, but I deeply hated it. Oh my god, that killed so many rating hopes. If you're under 18 and you can, like, you play one game with somebody who is like 300 points less, you lose to them, boom, you lose 40 points. You win them, you're like, what? You get like, what, 3-4 points? Same, but if you're like, if you're under 18 and you haven't crossed 2300, that's K40. Good luck to you if you're one of those. I think Talia suffered and enjoyed quite a ride with K40.
I haven't heard of that. That must be is that FIDE?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we care a lot about, you know, crossing that specific rating barrier because of the norm and titles, which are FIDE thing. I guess unless you're thinking about NM. Okay. That was a quick little detour on my funniest. I like K10. I don't know why. Uh-oh. No. I lost chat.
You
And
lost your chat.
that was my mistake.
Oh.
Maybe Tracy's logged in. Nope, she's not.
Can I send you a link, or do you need me to open it manually?
I can pull it on my laptop. Oh, I should be able to. I think I might remember my passwords. Let's see if I do. While we do this, I'll just show you this part. And now I'm going to ask you, please come up with a good idea for white. Like a long-term plan. Give me like a 4-move plan, 5-move plan. And don't be like, I'm going to eat this, then I'm going to eat this, then I'm going to eat this. So don't do that. Give me like a 5-move strategic plan while I remember my password. Okay, I think that's at least my email. Now let's see.
Do you want me just to open it back up on the screen?
Yes, I know my passwords,
All right.
but I don't have chats.
Just say the word. I'll open it back
Yes,
up.
please.
Okay.
Oh, there I am.
You got it?
I don't know. I have something here. How do I? Oh, pop-up chat. Oh, thank you. How did I not know about the pop-up chat? It's good to know I remember my passwords though. I always forget them. Okie dokie. Alright, somebody's talking about knight f3 first. That's a legal move. So... And this is tea. It's a very good smelling tea I found a few years back when I was playing Moscow Open, and I've been addicted. Okay, so somebody, Egen is going with bishop g5 and then queen d3. Possible. A lot of people are thinking queen d3. You're not wrong. We should start doing stuff in the queen side, but if you play queen d3, they're either going to go king b7 or knight b8, and that doesn't really help us. I don't think anybody has said this idea that I played yet. Oh yeah, Greenfield. Thank you. Yes, this tea was green. Yeah, Greenfield Spring Melody. Yep. Watch their Amazon sales go.
I wasn't suggesting You advertise it, but you can if you
I mean, I like the tea. They have a nice chocolate or honey as well. Those are my 3 top favorite. All right. Yeah, it's good. I don't know about c4 though. Why? Why c4? I'm a bigger fan of just pushing this guy. I mean, your rook is here, your pawn is here. Feels logical, no? And it's not like opponents can a5 it. So Anna went knight b8 with me, and then I just pushed a5. She went knight c6, so I'm like, okay, well, let's open up the rook. So far logical, right? But see, it was 1, 2, 3 moves that you could have been like, okay, maybe I want to castle, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that. Instead of all those, nobody's taking your castling rights away, and nobody is attacking your king just yet, or opening the center just yet. So your king is okay where it is. So it was a good idea to spend these 3 moves opening up your rook. Now, in the game, I was trying to decide between like bishop a3 or castle, and I couldn't, and I was just like, you know what, let's just go castle. But if I need bishop a3, I'll go bishop a3, because I was assuming she's still not going to play this, because I will still eat it. So I was kind of still waiting on, I wanted to see what she would do, because no knight e7, I was assuming she's not going to go h5, because the knight just gets here. I was thinking if she goes g6, well, great, I'll probably just go bishop g5. So I wanted to leave that to her. So after castle, she went knight f5. Knight f5 makes sense, right? That knight wants to jump to c4, or, you know, limit some of my mobility in the queen side / center, cuts my queen from getting that side. So white to move. Should we take that knight, or is it a rook? We care about that rook. Let's not lose it. Any rebuttals for the argument we gotta take the knight? It is really, this is too bright. I'm not complaining, I just can't really see any faces behind it, so. A lot of people in the chat are just like, yeah, we gotta take it, but the problem is your pieces are not ready. I don't disagree, yeah, your pieces are not ready. But this right now is a now or never type of thing, because if it gets to c4, well, good luck taking that. So you have to take it. If this was a light square bishop and it was on d3, I would have probably argued against taking. But right now you gotta take it. And now the thing is, this is a very, very interesting diagonal. It's very defenseless. It has a lot of fun little ideas. So you gotta go bishop a3, what I did. And it's funny, I always talk about how to, well, I call it lazy chess, but I feel like that's a weird term. I don't want to sit there and spend 30 minutes calculating a line that I feel like my opponent is also calculating. So it just feels weird to me, because then we get into a who can calculate deeper and keep their train of thoughts better type of battle, and I want to avoid those, because chess is not the main thing I do these days, and I'm not as sharp as a lot of the other opponents I play. They are doing tactics every day. I'm not. I'm teaching every day, or I have exams every day, or I'm planning my next move in, you know, school or whatever. And so it's not the right move for me to get into a calculation battle with somebody. So, for example, this move for me, I didn't start calculating it. Okay, I take it, then I'm gonna get my bishop there. I didn't go move by move. I went for what I thought the position needed, and I tried to compare if I take it and give up the exchange with if I don't take it and that knight gets to c4. Which one is more comfortable for me? Which one is more comfortable for opponent? So the way I play chess is more comparing my positions, more kind of like blocking whatever the opponent wants. It's a little bit a different style than calculate. So I don't know if that's the right move for you. When I was younger, I loved calculating. I would sit here for an hour and I would just calculate as long as I could. So my point being, if you try to calculate rook a5 and you actually try to find the weird checkmate somewhere, I don't think that'll work. But it's not about tactics. It's about, you have to, it's like understanding of the position. Some positions do require depot calculations, and there is no other options. You have to sit there, you have to calculate, you have to find the best move, or you will lose your advantage. Either way. So as long as it's not one of those situations, and you can just calculate by comparing positions, by trying to come up with, does this actually benefit my positions, or instead of trying to come up with checkmate, if it exists. I feel like that's kind of something that you have to decide for your own. But for me, this is the way I play chess most days. So if you're playing together, I hope we never have to get into a calculation battle. Wait. I think the game we had, we didn't get into a calculation battle.
I tried to make it a calculation battle and I miscalculated immediately.
Oh, well, nice for me. But no, I am remembering some of the games that I've had in that and I was trying to avoid super deep calculations, and well, for a few of them I kind of had to, but all right. Anyways, I call it lazy chess, but I don't think that's the right term. I think we should come up with like maybe mature chess. I don't know. Anyways, I thought that my bishop in this diagonal and my knight trying to get here is worth way more than that rook would be. I didn't really have like a estimate. Oh, this is gonna be plus 2.5, or whoa, this is gonna be, actually, why is it plus 5? Oh, the knight went the wrong direction. Well, good for me. But it's like I didn't have an exact estimate of what it should be, but I kind of knew what I wanted to do. For example, here playing knight d3 is great. It still holds a lot of advantage, and I probably would have played this if I didn't see c4. For me, c4 was clear. Opponent is not going to take that. If they do, there's a whole bunch of checks that she would have to deal with. So she's not going to take it. And wait, she did. Never mind. Sorry. I really thought she didn't. But again, this is like plus 5.5. But again, my whole point was I didn't sit here and calculate if she takes it, I'm gonna go this, then that, then that. I just knew if she takes, then I have that diagonal, I have that file, I'm good to go. Anyways, yep. So whoa, it's been a little while since I've seen this game. So I mean, I remember how it ends, but sometimes I forget how beautiful this knight d3 was. Anyways, I feel like I'm just sitting here giving myself compliments at this point. Whew. So, knight d3, it's really great because if they take it, kaboom, checkmate coming up. Knight d3, very clear idea. I want to jump up. Ooh, I want to jump up here, give you a little bit of checkmate. So she tried to stop it. I still went knight c5. Now I didn't even have, I got the sacrificed piece exchanged back as well. And now I have to figure out how to get the queen involved. This is a clear target. If I eat it, it's pretty checkmate, right? So I went for it. She tried to stop me. I tried to go for a different type of checkmate. Again, it's all very practical. I'm also thinking rook a1 is good, but see, if I play rook a1, then I give you a little bit of a new idea. And I'm sure somebody could argue that this is also advantageous and they would find a cool way of continuing this. But for me, if I do something and then you do something and then you're happy, I'm not playing that line. So rook a1 didn't sit well with me because it would give my opponents happiness. Oh, I feel like this is the utilitarian philosophy idea. Whatever you do that gives people the most happiness. I think this is the anti that. Oh, I don't think my healthcare ethics minor would be happy. But anywho, whatever you do, the move that you do, it should not bring your opponent happiness. So nice. Queen b2 made the most sense to me. I'm going checkmate. That should make you happy. She stopped it. Then I'm poking the rook again. You move it. Great. If you don't move it, I'll take it. She moved it. And now my idea was, well, I mean, I could try to continue activating queen. But I mean, I'm also assuming maybe queen b8 is looking a little nice, going somewhere here. Yeah, this is also advantageous of +6. What else? What do I need? In the game, I went for d5, and my idea is, well, everything else is great, so I don't want to move them. But I mean, queen b8 is still super winning. So I went here, she took, I pushed. She can't really take, I mean she could, but checkmate. So I believe she just attacked this a little bit. And again, I could take this, but I really wanted to just make it as simple for me as possible. My queen and rook are attacking here, so I'm going to continue attacking there. So I just went queen b8. And I think she resigned or she ran out of time, but this is like the checkmate's upcoming, so she can't prevent it. My whole point being, I gave you this game not just to show off, okay, maybe a little, but the main idea was to kind of talk to you about how to calculate, and this was an opening that I wasn't super clear with. Queen d7 didn't make too much sense to me, and I think that was kind of the whole point of why she played it, because Queen d7 kind of goes against a lot of the ideas that I have. She never played c5, and c5 is a huge part of this opening. And so, you know, for me that was like, I'm not gonna say never, because, well, the c-pawn moved anyways. But the whole point of this, for me, a huge point of French as black is to do this c5 at some point. All right. I'm gonna run through another game really quickly before we close. I left the best for the last. Now, because we're gonna be talking about knight f6 ideas from next week, I think this is a great transition. We are going to be talking mainly about e5s, but I am also a huge fan of bishop g5. And I thought bishop g5 in this game would be also appropriate. Yeah, this was the last round of the same US Championship 2020, and it was kind of fun because my opponent, you remember I showed you a game I had with Abrahamyan a little bit earlier, and I said she always plays Winawer, right? Well, in this game she didn't, and it was kind of, you know, it was very clear that she didn't have as much experience in it as she did in Winawer, because, well, I'll show you why. For me, this pawn structure is not that common, so it doesn't happen as much for me, this like d4 versus e6 with the double pawns. So I just know general ideas of what I was doing. And I also knew that, you know, this is the last round. If she wins, she's getting a few thousand extra dollars. So I knew she did this, she really wanted to win, and I assumed she had something prepared, and I didn't want to walk into her preparations. So what I went for is, I know the main lines are something with like knight here, or queen here, or pawn, or something that she would know better. So I went for what I usually play in my Sicilians. A lot of the time in Sicilian, anytime I want to confuse the opponent, I just throw in a queen d3 there, and somehow it always sticks. So I went for that. My thought process was like, you know what, I'm going to long castle soon, so I'm just going to go queen d3. We'll see what she does. I was assuming she's going to try and pile up and play c5 at some point. Maybe go like f5 and, you know, try to get c5. She did go for f5 indeed. I got to move the knight. I went knight c3. I wanted to still maintain some control over center. She went c6, which is logical. c5 also I'm considering, but because of my knight on c3, that makes it a lot more harder for her. So she just went c6, logical. I castled. Now I'm not so sure about knight d7. I know for sure. No, I can't say for fact because she might have had this prepared. But during the game, she was taking more time, and I could also see her face on the camera, so I knew that she was not comfortable in this position. This wasn't something that happens to her a lot, and I'm assuming b5 would be a nice, a second best move idea. She went knight d7, then to go f6, and here I was like, okay, well, I could just go knight f3. I could just try to get the bishop out, but I want to do something that will make her uncomfortable. At least she'll spend a few minutes on the clock. So I went f4, and she went knight f6, which is logical for her, right? Again, there's some, maybe queen c7 better, maybe b5 better, but knight f6 does make sense, controlling some of these squares. I went knight f3, To me, it made sense. I might want to jump knight e5. I might want to keep it here for right now, but I don't know for sure what I want to do with this bishop yet, so I'm just going to focus on the knight for now. We can talk about the bishop later. She went b5, which I don't know if it made sense to me, because I thought she has to do something with the king, right? Short castle doesn't seem that practical, so I thought she might want to go long castle, but when she played b5, then I was like, well, I don't think that's the case either. I guess she might want to, but it definitely makes things more interesting for me. So I was like, okay, weakness, let's go poke at it. She continued b4. All right, I'm gonna take a second, then ask you, what do you think we should do right now? Is that a possibility? Can we take, or is that cray? Should we just move this knight? Your tactical decisions brought happiness to opponent. Yeah, that's something that it took me a few years to get comfortable with, the idea of just don't do something that for the soul, and even if I can't have a move order for why it's bad, but I know if I do it, it makes my opponent happy. I don't even calculate it that much. So I don't know how to explain that except lazy chess. I'm getting a few knight b1s. I don't want to go to b1. The thing is, if we take it, this definitely makes things weird, because they can just go queen b6, and both of your knights are under attack. If you take this, oh boy, checkmate. So you have to take that back, and they can take this, and problems. So yeah, you don't have the option of taking it, and as soon as you see take here, give it another thought, and you see both knights are under attack. You can't defend them both. There are no real tactics here. Just gotta move this knight. And knight here does make sense, because you could also go to e2, but if you go to e2, then this bishop is going to have some serious problems. And again, with knight b1, where are you gonna go after that? Knight a4, you might want to jump to c5 later on. Worst case scenario is protecting b2, and it's stopping this a pawn push. So in the game, she went queen d5, which made sense, poking over here, so I just stopped it. I also considered, well, this might be useful in the future. She went queen e4. Now, do you think we should exchange queens or no? Oh, thank you. Let's do this with the almighty Lefu professor. Good morning. Whoa, where are you? Any feelings, thoughts? Let's think about it together. If I take, she'll take back probably with the knight. Some might have two threats, so I might have to defuse those. She gets the knight in the outpost. I could be attacking this, but I don't think it's that huge of an attack. For me, the main point is this is a weak king. Without queens, I'm not that comfortable in my abilities to attack that king. So I want to be able to keep the queens on the board. So knowing that, it gives me more structures. This queen is also attacking this pawn, so I should either go here or here. Now the thing with queen g3 that I didn't like was knight h5, and it's a fork. So I just went queen d2. I think a huge part of it is also the process of elimination. I don't want to exchange queens because of weak king. I need to protect this pawn, okay? I can't go here because knight h5. Boom, I have to go queen d2. Now after queen d2, she went knight d5, and I remember here, I actually took some time calculating, because to me it's like, okay, this queen is in the middle of the board. I should have some way of attacking it because it feels so trapped, but I can't do it just yet because she's, attacking over here, pinning this, attacking this. So I can't just go with like, hey, can I go bishop d2 and eat your queen? That's not gonna fly. She'll gonna take this. And knight d5, now something does change with the position. One of the things that I do tell my students is every time opponent makes a move, take a second, think, what is the opponent attacking? Okay, you figured out what is the opponent attacking, great. Now let's think about what changed. What did change for them? now that this knight is here, this queen is no longer defending the pawn, for example. Now, this does give me more opportunities to want to take. Now, there are also other ideas to consider, because for some reason engine is saying g4. I didn't really play g4 because, I mean, I assumed if take bishop g2, you take this, there is no follow-up. But the idea is, if you do take bishop d3 and boom, the queen is trapped. Now, again, opponent is not obligated to take it. She could simply take on f4, and that's kind of what doesn't sit well with me. So the idea of g3 is more comfortable. But for me, I do remember I thought about this g3, and I did see if take bishop d3, I trapped the queen. But the problem is, what if queen e3? What if she just wants to exchange queens? I'm not comfortable with that. I would much rather not exchange those queens. So for me, I realized that if I take, and if she takes, for some reason I was more comfortable with this. I thought even if I do take it and I can still activate this knight, I can do g3, bishop g2. I thought this would be a fine choice, but I thought knight c6 gives her the most mistaking options, because if I play g3, queen e3 is very forced. If you don't play queen e3, your queen is kind of trapped, so you have to go there. So after knight d5, I took, and she didn't find the best move. She went for bishop d6. After bishop d6, what do you think is a good idea for white? You've already eaten a pawn, so that might be giving you a bit of a, I guess, edge. So, what do we think?
g3.
Yeah, beautiful. The idea of g3 as well, they want to eat this, let's protect it. And you have to calculate take. And I think her mistake was she did not calculate my bishop b5 first. She might have considered bishop d3, and you know, here queen f3 runs away, right? So I think she might have forgotten about, she might have mistakenly forgot about this. I remember also I was trying to figure out when to play knight e5, because knight e5 also stops queen f3, right? But to me, bishop b5 was more natural, clear. You move the queen. Now I have knight e5 check. Now I can trap your queen. Now with the queen trap, I think here she realized she was kind of toast, but she still wanted to push for it, which is very logical. And I think she was hoping I would take, and you know, she would take, and maybe she would still have some counterplay, and I really didn't want to deal with that. Oh, I do remember here I was also low on clock, and my cat kept jumping around and blocking the camera, and I had to keep picking him up, putting him away. Beautiful clips out there. The arbiters still remember those. So I didn't want to risk it. So when she played knight c3, I was like, okay, I'm not ready to take. Let's just go bishop c6. I'm attacking more. The queen is still toast, so I'm still fine. I'm gonna keep pushing. And so she took, I took. Now this feels better because, you know, I'm attacking your rook, so you have to move it. I already know your next move. Now I can exchange these knights. I'm gonna win a pawn. Great. Now if I move my bishop, get the knight here, I'm great. But still not winning. I mean, it's still, I don't want to say not winning, it is winning, but you have to be careful because there's still a lot of potential for mistakes. For example, here she played f6. The best move that engine is suggesting is, I guess, moving the queen. Oh no, actually, maybe, I don't know. I don't think there's huge of a difference. To me, knight c4 logical. I want to exchange stuff off. She went bishop before, boom, I'm moving the queen. I might want to do d5 next. I did d5 next. I'm gonna exchange off, I'm gonna eat a little bit, I'm gonna start threatening checkmates. She took, I took, she tried to pin it a little, few checks here and there, few checks here and there. I wasn't here, like, I wasn't trying to find checkmate, I was just trying to get out of the trouble first, make sure I'm not dropping pieces, then I can try to find checkmate. I was sure there's advantage here, but I wasn't sure if I actually have enough to make the checkmate, and I don't see engine showing me, oh, here's a mate in 2 that you missed. But the point being that not everything is about checkmate. Yeah, if you see it, do it. But it's really important to kind of just do what the position needs. Don't just do what you want. So this position right now, The position needed me to save the knight. That's a weird thing to say. Let's just go with it though. If I lose the knight, 2 rooks versus a queen and a bunch of pawns, it's gonna be so much harder than if I kept the knight. So I don't care how much I need to give you checks. I want to save that knight, so I did. And I think here she actually resigned. But yeah. All right. I just kind of wanted to take today and do that smooth transition and show you some weird / cool ideas. Hopefully that made sense. We are going to be doing switch to Twitch and doing your game analysis. So make sure to show up on Twitch in the next 5 minutes or so with your games on a Lichess Link format. And yeah, see you next week. And we're going to be talking a lot about Steinitz. Bye.